Meanwhile, other key Trump supporters, including far-right media personalities, began promoting the wild protest on January 6th.
1776! 1776!
The answer to 1984 is 1776. Every time I think about this guy, I forget his name because I just do it off the cuff. But I was at Bilderberg 2006 in Canada. I'd just been arrested trying to fly in, trying to cover it. It was a big media frenzy. Back then, the media still stuck up for journalists, even though they didn't like me. And they released me after a day of being interrogated and screamed at and threatened with prison. And they finally released me. And when I got to the hotel, I met with Jim Tucker, the hotel miles away from where Bilderberg was about to meet the next day. There was an old man at the bar drinking a beer. He said, Alex, I'd like to drink a beer with you. And I said, sure. He's a British man. I said, you live in Canada? He said, yeah, I've lived here since the 90s. And I didn't know he was dying at the time. He died a few months later. He said, I used to be a well-known economist in the UK, and I've been at the highest levels of the whole socialist globalist system. I've met with many of these people, and early on, I kind of believed the lie they were selling about how it was utopia and freedom and the power of the average person, but really they want to make everybody poor and control them. And he said, I think you need to use this slogan I just developed, because I'm a mathematician, not just an economist. And he said, but it's not an equation, it's an archetypal symbol in numbers. It was very eloquent. He said, the answer to 1984 is 1776. And I interviewed him and talked to him, and it wasn't till we started looking into him for the film that it turned out he was the main economist to two prime ministers. He was the guy. Guy was super famous. I just, didn't know that in the 80s he'd worked for Margaret Thatcher and all the rest of it. But the point is, that's where that came from, was from a Brit, which is perfect because, our revolution came out of England. It was an extension of George Washington's grandparents and Thomas Jefferson's grandparents and parents and people that came to the New World to get away from tyranny. And England had revolutions like ours trying to get freedom. So America is not an anti-British thing. America is not an anti-Anglo-Saxon thing. America is not it comes out of Magna Carta in 1215. It comes out of all those wars and rebellions and fights for freedom in Ireland, in Scotland, in Wales, in Brittany. That is an extension of who we are. And it's so fitting that a Brit and an economist came up with that powerful maxim that they fear so much. The answer to 1984 is 1776!
Wars. Let's go. Yeah. We are back, and I am way more motivated. What do we have on for today? What do we have? Well, first off, we have to talk about what's some breaking developments. And so, do we get to the COVID stuff first, or do we get to the... I say we get to the code. Quickly get this out of the way. What's going on? How the heck do you spell it? There, I can spell it. It's a... So, first we're just going to get into the screen stuff. I hope your weekend was pretty good. Let's just see. Nope. And you might wonder, I thought you said you took a break from Twitter. Well, yes, I've been consistently good at it and not posting stuff. I'm just here to check some of the stuff. If you're what, and I think I know why Orban. It doesn't have anything to do with Viktor Orban. At least I don't think. I think it has to do with Gif Orban, who's the Nigerian kid Tottenham are to big shout to Big Ange Postecoglou. That win against United on Saturday. Let's just hope Madison's reign fit for Bournemouth on Saturday, because we can't have him. We can't lose Madison.
Reach the northeastern outskirts of the village of Sinkovka. At the same time, clashes continue near Petropavlovka, located nearby, threatening Kupiansk with a partial encirclement. The advancing Russian units are already only 7 kilometers from the city. On August 10th, military facilities and the Kupiansk city administration building, occupied by the Ukrainian military, were destroyed by Russian heavy.
So this is currently what's going on.
Aerial bombs. In their turn, the Ukrainian military has launched the evacuation of civilians from 37 settlements in the area and are reportedly partially retreating to the western bank of the Askal River to strengthen new defenses there. However, a Russian assault on Kupiansk is unlikely to take place in the near future. The main goal of the Russian offensive operation is likely to distract Ukrainian forces from their counteroffensive on the Zaporozhye and Bakhmut front lines. Advancing slowly but steadily, the Russian military destroys more Ukrainian reserves sent to the northern front. Meanwhile, in the Bakhmut region, heavy battles for the village of Klishevka and the dominant heights nearby are ongoing. Russian forces have reached the north.
So, yeah. Just want to get that out. There's advance is in. I rather not show you what's the actual action because it's quite disturbing, and we don't want to get hit. I don't think so. So I'm gonna play next. I could play this, which the Ukrainians destroyed a couple bridges. Is to prevent the Russians. However, apparently what they did was they trapped some of their own. There's what I'm hearing from both Russian and Ukrainian sources. How reliable are these? It's all up to interpretation. However, but that's just a quick update. And it's all because there's the Ukrainian counteroffensive has not met its goals. It's being admitted by many Western publications and leaders right now that they thought they were going to head towards the Crimea. That's clearly not going to happen. That clearly ain't happening, Chief. There's a lot of talk about how the U.S. is now urging Ukraine into a peace deal. I mean, you could have had the peace deal back last year and Ukraine wouldn't have lost all this territory. But seeing as the West thought they could get rid of Putin, this has all been for regime change, this operation in Ukraine. It's not about protecting democracy. It's about regime change, getting rid of an opponent in the form of Putin, who isn't perfect, but is certainly much better than what we got here. Let me check. I've got this Tim Pool, but that was nasty. That was nasty. Yeah. On the emergency stuff that we're going to get into is but that's not really the emergency. I'm going to go on a little bit about the Russians. Their offensive is caught the Ukrainians off guard. The Ukrainians have not even breached a front line yet. They still haven't. This is really not going well for Zelensky. But you know what? Let's react to something else, shall we? That's why you're here. And before we do, let's check to see how we're doing on Rumble. We've got 2 watching over there on Rumble. We had someone watching over here. Mikey, if it's you, feel free to. You're only helping the algorithm, Mikey. Wink, wink. I know you're gay for me. Like one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm like, I forgot who, because I was never really into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In addition, I've been lining up some guests. I've been looking at Gavin Mario. I think that's who it is. I've been looking at getting him on as a guest. I'm sure you know who that is. Heck, I could even reach out to Laura Loomer, who liked 2 of my posts on Saturday. Well, 2 of my replies. One where she called someone an oxygen thief. Oh man. But I'm procrastinating. Let's go to this from Tim Cast, which Tim Pool's been hit. He's been crushing it recently. I know he flip-flops a lot, but he's been crushing it on stuff like the COVID. And he's good. He is good friends with Alex Jones.
A video from Alex Jones has gone viral. He says that he spoke with the TSA.
Also, anyone here see Laura Loomer annihilate Bill Mitchell? We might have to play that later.
Say whistleblower, and that COVID lockdowns will be coming back soon. The theory now circulating on X, formerly known as Twitter, is that within the next month or so, you will start to see some federal employees be required to wear masks, but don't worry, not you. It's just them trying to be safe. Then by October, they'll say, well, maybe for certain things, y'all should be wearing masks.
They're going to try and ease us back into it because they know that if they do it like last time, there's going to be a massive there's going to be massive pushback. So they're going to try to edge us in, you know.
And by December, full-blown lockdown. I am not convinced, mind you. I am not convinced completely, but it may. Now, we've talked about what Democrats would need to do to defeat Donald Trump in 2024, and the one thing I've said over and over.
Hang on, darn. I'm such an idiot.
Again, is that without COVID, they can't do it. With COVID, they took away everyone's lives. No movies, no sports, no bars. The only thing you could do was sit in your box, locked in your house, watching the TV, where they screamed about Donald Trump. But ladies and gentlemen, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We have a bunch of stories emerging about a new COVID variant and about new rules for wearing masks. Some hospitals have already begun demanding mask policies. And I'll tell you one thing. This past weekend.
And on Alex Jones today, if I can get it, let me go to band.video. They might have uploaded it. I'm not sure where it is. Hang on. Have they not uploaded it yet? No, it doesn't look like they've uploaded it yet.
I took a trip up to Portland, Maine, and it was quite entertaining. And it was very strange at the same time. Stores still had signs saying to wear your masks. On the city street lights, they had, those banners they always put on them? It said, wear your mask. Everywhere. pictures of people wearing masks. Now, nobody was, mind you. No, I didn't see anybody wearing any masks. But my understanding,
Because people are actually getting smarter now. They realize that this is all a scam, or the people just forgot to take down the signs.
is that much of Maine has retained its COVID lockdown policy.
What?
And it's more so about regular people just backing away from the rules. I don't know for sure what'll happen, but I do have a story for you as to what happened this weekend, which I'll get to towards the end of the segment. First, let's read the news. New COVID variant leads scientists demanding rules from lockdown reimposed on Britain. This is from GB News. Now, Britain is not the United States, and this story is from just a couple days ago. They say a new COVID variant has caused scientists to demand that Britain start wearing masks again. Scientists have suggested that the UK may have to reintroduce lockdown rules after a new
the
variant.
UK was one of the worst when it came to this. People in the UK, I might have to get Golden Age Geek back on to talk about this. Like, I'll hit him up later, or to see what, because I guess he's our British correspondent now. I'm turning JaredCast into we're going legitimate, people. We're going legitimate. There's really no clip I can use, but let's continue.
Variant has been recorded in multiple countries. The new variant, dubbed BAX online, has already been found in Denmark and Israel, although this has not been officially confirmed. The scientific community is split on how to deal with the new variant. Whilst I love that from GB News, whilst some believe it is a necessity for lockdown measures to be introduced, some say it's too early to enforce such rules.
It's not necessary. It might be more likely to be spread, but it's probably less lethal is what I'm hearing from some people.
Dr. Tricia Greenhall, an expert in primary care from the University of Oxford, tweeted, "It looks like it's once again time to mask up." Yet Professor Christina Pagel from the University College London stressed the differences between the new variant and older ones. Very, very early days, but this coronavirus variant, now in 2 countries, has a lot of new mutations that makes it very different to previous Omicron strains. However, she added this variant was potentially more able to cause a big wave. Well, it's coming, ladies and gentlemen, because here's the story from CBS News. As of August 18th, CDC tracking new COVID variant BA.286 after highly mutated.
And let me actually just pause there and let me just play this clip. Come on. Like, Elon is, I'm not sure if he's actually going to introduce the feature, the block ability, but he's concerned about that. Get this sorted. Get this sorted, Musk. Come on.
Strain reported in Michigan. BA.286. What could that mean?
Anyone in the chat want to comment? You're free to. Anyone on our Rumble chat? I know there's 4 people watching. If you want to decipher that, get working. You can start to do that.
The CDC announced Thursday it's tracking a newly discovered COVID strain. Today, we are prepared more than ever to detect and respond to the COVID-19 virus, et cetera, et cetera. Experts say reports of BA.286 being spotted in countries on multiple continents, Denmark, Israel, et cetera, suggest it is at least capable of transmitting widely and could have been spreading undetected for some time. It comes after the World Health Organization announced it has classified BA.286 as a variant under monitoring. The strain's rapid escalation to the WHO's variant under monitoring category is uncommon. Just 3 cases have been spotted of the variant worldwide.
So then what's the need for a lockdown.
It's too early to say whether the variant will become more dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. It's too early. So why are we saying that we need to lock down? You need to control people. That's the issue.
Blah, blah, blah. You get the point. It is very uncommon that this virus would be tracked so quickly. I wonder what it all means. Well, let me show you the news. Here we go from Syracuse.com. This is August 17th. Both upstate medical hospitals to require masks again as COVID cases tick up. Here's one. Auburn, New York. I think these are the two similar areas. Auburn Community Hospital now requiring masks as new COVID variant spreads.
I wish that they would have uploaded the clip by now where Alex, he had listeners on. Nico's was in a film. I'm just scrolling through band.video. So there's a new film on Infowars. It's called Dust. It's a cyberpunk inspired thriller. I haven't taken a look at it. I'll have to look at it.
Here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it stops here. Maybe it doesn't go further than this. I'm not going to tell you what you should or should not believe. That's up to you. Here's the New York Post from August 18th. Amid summer surge of new COVID variant, should we be wearing masks? And this is how it begins. If it were to begin, this is how it begins. The absurdity of these policies and these rules. Yeah, I think it's the only way they beat Trump. Get people to go door to door, knock on doors and say, fill out this ballot and we'll make it all go away. How convenient.
You need that.
Appears after the election, comes back just in time for the election. Now, I don't know what to tell you because it's entirely possible that they bring this stuff back. I think it's difficult that they do. For me out here, and what I was learning in Portland, and then I'll tell you that story. In West Virginia, there were lockdown policies that most people ignored. However, this is fascinating. Frederick, Maryland, which is like 10 to 15 minutes from West Virginia. In West Virginia, they say wear a mask. If you don't, nobody says anything. There are some small businesses that are still fairly woke because, West Virginia's got university towns, college towns, and they're fairly lefty. You walk into a business in there and they're like, hey, get out of here. But for the most part, people didn't wear masks. They just ignored the mandates. And it was like you'd have one and be like, I don't know, just in case someone says anything, but typically you didn't do anything. However, in Frederick, Maryland, you get kicked out in 2 seconds for not wearing a mask. They don't care. These people slobbered on boot, licking it clean, even when it made no sense. My favorite story out of Frederick, Maryland was I went to a sushi restaurant and we walk in without a mask because we didn't know. And we were like, hey, we want to eat for two. And the server's like, okay, but you got to put a mask on. And then I was like, no one's wearing a mask. Like literally nobody was wearing a mask. This was the
There's so many stories like this. Jeremy D-Day Cobra had a story he could share.
Funniest thing. And they're like, no, but you have to wear it. And I was like, I don't understand. Nobody's wearing masks. Like, well, they're eating. And I was like, oh yeah, we're going to be eating too. And they're like, yes, but put the mask on. And I was like, now hold on there a minute. No one sitting down was wearing a mask. And our table is 5 feet from us. I said, can I just sit down? And they're like, no, I was like, I don't want to waste a mask. You're making me put it on and take it off right away. That makes no sense. And then I was like, they were like, if you don't wear the mask, you got to leave. I was like, are you kidding me? And all the employees were like, yes. Like, or not, not literally that they were kidding me, but. And I was like, I'm going to leave because that's insane. It was a very small sushi restaurant, probably only a couple hundred square feet, maybe 700. And the table that we'd sit at was literally 5 feet from me. I was like, I'll just sit down right now. I'll just sit down. Don't make me waste the mask. I'm going to put it on and take it off in a second. It was nuts. That's how crazy everybody was. But y'all remember. Y'all need to remember.
Yeah.
And I think the craziest thing about Portland, I was asking people about it. I said, why are there...
Oh my God, the people on my campus were crazy. Like, I swear if we go back to virtual schools, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. My parents paying for my tuition, I don't think they're going to want me to continue if I'm sitting alone in a room behind a screen, unable to leave. It's gonna be so bad.
There are banners everywhere saying you must wear a mask. And they were like, well, nobody did. That's what they told me. Nobody really did. And I'm wondering it's because I think the population of Portland, Maine is like, what is it, 50, 60,000? Maybe 70,000. I don't know. I mean, it might be 70. I don't know. Whatever. The metropolitan area, it's like 500,000. But mostly because people in New York have like vacation houses. And so the surrounding area is very like vacation-y. There's lakes and things like that. It's very beautiful, mind you.
Very beautiful. Probably really lovely. That's one trip I'd like to do, is like a trip to in rural Maine. No phone, no computer, just out in the wilderness. Scenic.
Wow. It's like 68, 70 degrees. But they said no one really did it. They had the policies. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Well, let me tell you, my friends, let me tell you something very interesting. Now, let me just wrap up by saying, pay attention to this stuff and get prepared, because maybe Alex Jones is right once again. He was right about the war in Ukraine with Russia. And everybody...
Yes. In October, you're saying there was going to be a war in February, where the war was going to start in February. Look at what happened.
Their jaws hit the floor when that clip of Alex went viral, where he's like, the war is going to start. It's going to be in February. And everyone's like, get out of here. And then in February, I was like, oh, Russia invaded. Holy crap. How did he know it? And Alex, I talked to him. He was like, I was just reading the news, like paying attention to what they were saying. It's crazy. Let me tell you a story, as an aside, of the absurdity of these policies that blow my mind. So, of course, I'm hanging out this weekend in Portland, Maine. And we got in a boat and we went on a lake. It was great. Lobster. Oh, man. I had nothing but lobster and oysters all weekend.
God, you're making me so hungry, Tim. Like, there's an Italian, which last Monday I was there, and I actually met a 101-year-old World War II veteran, which I was incredibly blessed to meet. Someone, first person I've ever met who's over 100. Nice African-American man with his daughter. And we're at an Italian place. I was speaking a little Italian with some of the people who were from Italy. But, very good. Continue.
It was delicious, mind you. But of course, once we wrapped up the day's festivities Saturday night, we decided to go and hang out somewhere that was, we had finished, we had eaten lobster, we had steak, we went out on the water. Day was done. What do you do in the evening time? Well, look, some people like to go to bars and drink alcohol. I don't do that. What did I do? I went to Oxford Casino. It's a really small casino. And we went to go play and just have a good time. And usually what I do is I'll take like a couple $100, and that'll be like my entertainment for the evening. I don't want to buy booze or anything like that. And so here's the interesting thing that happened. I sit down at a game they called it Louisiana Stud, which is just a name variant.
That's such a... I don't gamble, and I barely even will drink. Like, I do not like the taste. I've had alcohol before. I do not like the taste of it. I had some while I was in Turks and cake. I did not like the taste.
On a game called Mississippi Stud. Now, pay attention. I'm not just telling a casino story. This is a COVID story. So let me explain the game Mississippi Stud for you guys. Many of you may be familiar with it. For those that aren't, you put down an ante wager. So at this table, it's $10. You pay $10. There's 5 other seats. The dealer will then give himself 3 cards face down, and then he gives Each player 2 playing cards. The purpose of the game is to get a pair of jacks or better between the 3 cards the dealer gave to himself. It's actually not for himself, it's the community board and your hand. You are not playing against the dealer. Here's how it works. You look at your 2 cards, and if they're good, you can place an additional $10 wager. There's 3rd Street, 4th, and 5th. When you put that wager down, the dealer, he checks everybody to make sure they're either folding or betting. He'll then flip over 1 card. Let's say I have ace king, an ace and a king in my hand. And I say, okay, it's a good hand, so I'll pay another $10. And the dealer then flips over the first card, which is an ace. Ace wins. Then I can triple up my bet across the board, right? So there's 2 other bet positions. So I'll go 30, 30. Then the dealer flips over the remaining 2 cards. If your hand improves, you can make more money, but with a pair of aces, you win 1-1. That means if I put 10 and 10 and then 30 and 30, dealer's going to pay me $80. It's fantastic. Let's say you get dealt really bad cards. You say, I don't want to play, I fold, and you lose your bet. Here's where it gets interesting. Because of their COVID policies, you're not allowed to touch any of the cards. COVID policy still in effect. My mind was blown because you know what this means? The dealer would reveal all of the cards that every player had. This is the insanity of COVID policy. Now, I know perhaps a bit esoteric because I like to play casino games. And then I get the haters who are like, it was a gambling problem. I don't actually gamble all that much. It's like going to an arcade. You go to Dave & Buster's, spend $100 playing arcades with your family, and we'll go to the casino and I'll spend $100 playing a card game. And sometimes you win, you leave with money. In fact, this past weekend, I actually made quite a bit of money playing. And I'll tell you why. The COVID policies are insane and have never been lifted. I asked the dealer when he laid the cards out in front of me face up for every other player to see. Let me explain what this means. First, I said, we can't touch the cards. And he goes, we've never gotten out of that COVID phase. I was like, what? Portland, Maine, or Maine, the state, has never gotten rid of their COVID policies. It's still there. Here's what this means. If you're playing a game where there are 3 cards up top and 2 in your hand, your odds will be calculated as such. I look in my hand and I have an ace and a king. So that means if I get an ace or a king in those 3 cards, I will win 1 times my bet. They'll stack my chips up and then even them out. If I get an ace and a king, it's 2 pair. You get 2-1 on your bet. That's great, right? Here's the thing. In most casinos, if you reveal your hand to the table, they will warn you. If you do it again, they'll kick you out. Now, there's usually a bit of leeway, like, hey, man, we told you not to do this. Stop doing this. Don't talk about your hand. Why? Let's say I have an ace and a king in my hand. And then every other player flips over their cards. And what do I see? Ace, king, ace, king, ace, king. Hey, wait a minute. All of the aces and all of the kings are in someone's hand, which means the chance of an ace or a king being on the board is 0. I can't win. I fold. It would be absurd to fold ace, king in a game of Mississippi in most instances. But if you can see all the other cards, you know you can't win. This is the most insane thing about what they've done. Okay, and I'm not.
I guess that he's talking a bit about general rules. Kind of reminds me of the film Casino from the 1995 with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. Really good film. I think there was someone else. There's like a couple of notable. Oh, James Woods.
Literally saying the most insane thing. Let me just say, as somebody who plays games at casinos, we ended up making, all right, I'm just going to say it. We ended up making about $2,000 playing these casino games. We also played a game called Jackpot Hold'em, which is a table game, which plays like Texas Hold'em. Same thing applied. Every player's hand was face up for everyone else to see. You couldn't see the dealer's cards. In this game, you play against the dealer. But I'm just thinking to myself, how is this business operating when they are giving the player such an insane edge?
Does seem like that.
For no reason. Hey, I love it, to be completely honest. So I get dealt a hand. I've got...
Of course. I mean, I'd feel dirty doing it. You know? Know what I mean?
Queen 4 of spades, And then I look over and what do I see? Nobody has a queen. Nobody has a 4. Now, queen 4 is not a good hand. But I already know this. This means if nobody has one, the chance of me hitting a queen or a 4 on this board of 5 cards, because this is a different kind of game. There's 5 cards plus your 2, you make the best 5-card hand. I'm like, it's really high. I'm going to hit a pair on this board because no one else has these cards. Not a guarantee, but I know my chances are not diminished. So what did I do? Tripled up my bet. Sure enough, I hit the 4, kind of worried because it's not a good pair to have, and I beat the dealer, cashed out. There were several instances where many of the players had all of the cards available. One guy got dealt pocket kings, 2 kings in his hand, and then there were 2 other players with king 10. And so it's just like the guy with kings was like, I'm good, I got kings. The guy and the lady with king 10 were like, there's no chance, there's no kings left. So the only chance I have is a 10, and he's got 1, so there's only 2 left in the whole deck. The likelihood of hitting that is nil. Check. In this game, you just tap the board and they reveal more cards, and then you can bet $10 to play. Maybe you'll get a straight, maybe you'll get a flush, but sure enough, normally they might be like, oh, okay, I'll bet big. They knew their odds were bad. It was insane to me. Sure enough, we all kept winning. So anyway, just a story I wanted to tell about the absurdity and insanity of these COVID policies. But more to the point, outside of my personal story, which I found really fascinating, I was calculating my odds in real time on Mississippi. It was nuts. I'm like, I got dealt ace jack suited. Okay, I'm just going to get right into the weeds with you. I get dealt ace jack suited. And then I look at what are the board. What do I see? A guy's got jack 3, a guy's got ace 3. And I'm like, okay. So we've got 2 aces and 2 jacks accounted for, giving the chances of me hitting this board. I think I had a hand that was like ace 3. And basic strategy of Mississippi is if you have a face card, jacks are better, then you can buy the first street, see what the first card is. But I instantly knew when I saw, I think that in this hand, there was one hand where I had like ace 3 and there were 2 aces. I said 3s lose, they can't win. There's a possibility of a straight, but that's like, I think that's going to be like 7% or worse if you get ace 2, 3, 4, 5, meaning 2, 4, 5 would have to be on the board. Chasing that's stupid. And then I was like, ultimately calculated based on I could see everyone else's cards. I have a 30% chance to win 1 times my bet. That's
All right. He's just talking.
stupid. Nuts. I don't have all the answers for you. All I know is it's getting crazy.
Went on for a little too long. But, you got gambling information from Tim Pool. Gamble responsibly. See. Hang on, maybe there we go. I think that's going to be better. All right.
Making a comeback this summer, so many of us would like to leave it in the past, but cases are once again on the rise. So when will new booster shots roll out? Ann Thompson asked the CDC director.
This summer, most Americans left COVID in the past, gathering together once again mask-free. But tonight, signs of a COVID resurgence.
By the way,
across the country, COVID
like several hours after Alex Jones said that.
Hospitalizations jumped more than 14% in the most recent week, but far lower than pandemic levels. NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel.
What's behind this uptick in COVID that we're seeing?
It's probably artificial.
The main driver of this is a variant that's relatively newer to the scene, EG5. It's easier to give and get. So
the heck does that stand for?
That makes it kind of easier to pass along.
It's been almost a year since the last COVID booster came out. CDC Director Dr. Mandy Cohen.
The new COVID booster is expected to be approved by the FDA, and then we will make recommendations from the CDC probably by the second or third week of September.
Will it protect against this new strain?
Yes, the booster is tailored to what we are seeing circulating now.
Critics say the federal government is behind once again. People knew there was.
How much do you want to bet that's not true?
Going to be a COVID resurgence. So why don't we have a booster today? Why do we have to wait until next month?
The way we go about doing our, just like we do with our flu shots, right? We make sure that we're looking at the ways in which the virus changed. They look at and evaluate that. The FDA is doing its work. We likely will see this as an annual COVID shot, just like the flu shot.
Just in time for fall, when we'll also face RSV.
Can you take the flu shot, the COVID booster, and the RSV vaccine all at once?
So for flu and COVID, yes. RSV, again, is only available.
Doesn't seem right. You know?
For older adults. That's one where I'd say talk to your doctor about what's right for you.
So until the new COVID booster comes, get prepared. Stock up on at-home tests. They do cover
this
that
is
new
just
strain.
propaganda.
Keep a mask handy in case you're in a crowded place. And most of all, get your shots, COVID, flu, and RSV, all by Halloween to give yourself your best chance of staying healthy.
A reminder that COVID.
Why don't you work out? Take your vitamins. Eat better. That's how you stay healthy. You know, start by doing at least 5 push-ups. Then start one day by doing 5 push-ups. And I'm not a expert into being physically fit, but just start by doing 5, a little bit. Like 5, then another day do 10. Just keep going up, and at one soon you'll be able to do 50. And also do instead of just work out, maybe ride your bike, take a walk around. Just they don't want you to be healthy. They close the gyms down, but allow all these mega stores and all these fast food places to stay open. They want you. And you know, we're all guilty of eating fast food junk. Okay? We all like it. But that's what they want you to eat for the rest of your life. They don't want you to be healthy.
It never went away. All
Didn't.
right. And thank
No, it did go away. Just you're trying to bring it back. And this was, so let me actually bring this back up. This was from the 19th. This was the 18th. This was a retweet of Melissa. So this is what Al said.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got a call yesterday. An individual was in town, and they wanted to meet with me that I know well, and they are a high-level manager in the TSA. And I went and met with them and had a cup of coffee with them, and they said, you got to warn people. Tuesday, we got called in, the managers, and told that by the middle of September, that the new policy is being written, that this is done. They were told this is happening. This is not hypothetical. You will all have to wear masks again, and so will airport employees. Then by the middle of October, they are going to say that everyone flying has to wear a mask. And in the meetings, people began to ask them, well, I mean, why is this happening? They said, well, because of the new variant in Canada and because of the WHO.
I guess the one in Britain.
They may, declare this, but regardless, We've been told this is going to happen. And then they were told, we expect by December a return to the full COVID protocol of 2020, 2021. And I was given many more details. I wrote down notes on it.
That is, and we just saw the previous clip. If you weren't here for it, you can back it up. I might be posting these later.
Then
I might be cutting these edits into individual videos to make it easier for watch time.
I left. Called the first federal connection that I was thinking of. Didn't answer. Called the second. Answered. Told them what I've been told. And they said, what day was that? I said, Tuesday. They said, yep, we were told yesterday. Yesterday was Thursday, so it was Wednesday. Expect COVID protocols to begin rolling out middle of September. And I said, what else were you told? Basically that they believe this new variant's super bad and that they're doing the testing and that they should just get ready for a whole new rollout of what happened before. And this was Border Patrol connected people I was talking to, and testing at the border again and the whole shooting match. That's 2 federal agents that told me this yesterday. And then I went and looked at the news, and there they were saying Canada's looking at new restrictions again because of the variant, and so is the EU. And what did the Russians just put out 3 days ago? U.S. is...
Yeah, I think I do remember that.
Plotting another pandemic. Russian head of the defense ministry warns. Now, new lockdowns will starve the third world. New lockdowns will destroy small businesses. New lockdowns will take the average person that's already $5,000 in the hole and their paycheck is just on time, will put them into full bankruptcy. And the children in the mask and the attempt to put...
Man, what the mask did to children, it was awful. It was terrible. I'm going to need to get someone on our show as a guest to talk about this because I can't comprehend how bad this is getting.
Push a new shot for the new variant, and we're right back in the same hellhole we were in just a few years ago. And why is it perfect timing? Because you go into the election year. They had the last crisis go over 2.5 years. They'll bare minimum run this through the next election. It's only 15 months out with mail-in ballots again. And we have all the eyewitnesses and testimony that they'd get the mail-in ballots. And in some cases, they were 99% for Joe Biden. Who believes that? U.S. Postal Service whistleblowers, USPS.
And you saw the videos of the whistleblowers. If you haven't, not all of them were for Trump. Actually, a lot of them weren't Trump supporters. They're either libertarians or independents. They were just shocked.
Poll watching witnesses. I have it all here. We'll play it next hour. We do not have to sit here and take the same criminal UN, global, WEF, New World Order regimes' second rollout of lockdowns and attempts at forced injections and travel restrictions and being told you're not essential. We don't have to lay down and die.
We don't.
And for the third world, they'll lock them down again under IMF World Bank control. It is a literal death sentence. They estimate over 80 million people starved to death the last 3.5 years because of the COVID restrictions.
Man, that's gonna stink. You hear this, don't you? It's pretty bad. And we're also seeing environmental shit happen. There was that earthquake. That just hit California. Along with the hurricane. I think that would be perfect to move into our next story. I mean, I can't really say anything else other than about lockdowns. I'll probably be harping on that for a while. You'll get tired of hearing me harp on that.
As you can see, this is a subway station or a metro station. What's fancy actually though is that there is
Holy crap. Holy crap. This has to be like a real. This has to be fake. It's fake, people. It's fake. You know what? It is fake. It just seems so fake. I mean, this seemed really fake. So that's a fake video. Gotta be careful while I'm browsing Twitter though, or X. Hang on, I'm trying to figure out. But that previous video did seem pretty fake. I want to see if there's a. I think this might be a real video. There's only a 5.5, but
holy crap. Yo, that was insane. Hold up.
and there's Hurricane Hillary death. He self-deletion. It wasn't like a big earthquake. Hang on. because we're not going to have time to get to the rest of the stuff. I'll just play. That was not the right thing. So this is.
Eagle Creek Fire, which jumped the Okanagan Lake overnight.
Crazy. That's what's going on in Canada. The Canadians can't get control of their wildfires. Yeah, I've unfortunately got something to do with family. Like the video, comment, share, and subscribe. Click the bell for notification. I will see you later. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.